You guys have asked for it, and we're finally doing it. We're doing a gluten-free starter in the Sourdough Sidekick. So today we're going to be using King Arthur's gluten-free measure for measure flour to grow our starter from scratch. We're going to be using their recipe they have online, and we're going to be doing one in the Sidekick and then one by hand for control. We should see activity within 3 to 5 days. Alright, let's go ahead and get the Sidekick all set up. In case you didn't know, the flour hopper and the water hopper are both removable, and the flour hopper's parts can easily be disassembled for easy cleaning. The first thing you have to do with the Sourdough Sidekick when you're using a new type of flour is calibrate the unit. This is because each type of flour has a slightly different density, so you need to make sure the unit knows how much it's dispersing. The first thing I'm going to do is fill the hopper with our gluten-free flour. Zero out your scale with your crock. Now you'll put the crock into the Sidekick. Then go into your settings, find calibration, then hit start on the flour. So the Sidekick is going to dispense what it thinks is 50 grams of flour. Then you're going to weigh this and tell it what it actually is, and it will adjust for the difference. So the scale is showing that it dispensed 44 grams of flour. So we're going to tell the Sidekick that it was 44, and then it's going to make its own adjustments. So to go to the starter, I'm going to start out in by mass mode on the Sidekick. I'm going to set the flour to be 120 gram feedings, and then the water to be 128 gram feedings. I'm going to set my interval to 24 hours and my seed to 0. Okay, it looks like it's all mixed up well, and so we'll just check back in tomorrow at the same time. Alright, it's day 2, which means I'm going to discard half of each of these and then add 120 grams of the measure for measure flour and 128 grams of cool water. We'll probably keep repeating this for the next 5 days, and then we'll check in and see if we see any activity. It's been 10 days and both of our starters look great. They've been regularly doubling or tripling 6 hours after feeding. A few days ago, I switched over to feeding with the bread flour for preparation for making bread today. Speaking of bread, let's go make some gluten-free bread with our Sourdough Sidekick starter. So the first step in our recipe is to combine 259 grams of starter with 412 grams of water, 390 grams of King Arthur's gluten-free bread flour, 12 grams of sugar, and 10 grams of salt. I'm going to combine all of that in a bowl and then mix it in our stand mixer. Make sure your water is about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to mix this on low for 2 to 3 minutes until a sticky wet dough forms. Our dough looks much different from regular sourdough, but that's to be expected with the gluten-free recipe. So now I'm going to remove this from the stand mixer and then let it rest for 20 minutes to allow our dough to firm up. Alright, it's been 20 minutes and now it's time for us to knead the dough to prepare it for our final rest. So to knead this dough, we're going to have to gently lay it out onto our wooden platform and then fold it over on itself 5 to 7 times, rotating 90 degrees between each fold. So now I'm gonna put it back in the bowl and allow it to rest for 2.5 to 4 hours. So our dough has been proofing for 4 hours, and now we're going to shape it into our boule shape for our bake. I'm gonna carefully fold over bits of the dough, and I'm gonna try to do this about 5 times to make that round shape. This dough is very difficult to work with. Doesn't want to stretch very much. So shaping gluten-free bread is much more difficult than a normal gluten bread. It's more like pushing it around to the right shape than the classic pulling and stretching and getting that tight fit. Unfortunately, I'd like to get that more classic round shape, but the dough doesn't really allow for any sort of stretching. It's just breaking on me, so I'm gonna have to leave it as is. So now we're gonna cover this and put it in the fridge and let it proof for 16 to 24 hours. The dough has now been in the fridge for about 24 hours, so I'm gonna go take it out of the fridge and then score it and throw it in the oven to bake. So we'll go ahead and uncover it in 40 minutes and let it brown for 10 to 20 more minutes. All right, the bread looks great. It's been resting for about an hour, and I'm gonna cut into it. Really good flavor and texture. I couldn't tell a difference. If someone gave this to me, I wouldn't know that it's gluten-free. It's really good. It's not dry at all. The bread turned out great. For everyone who's been asking for us to do the gluten-free starter and the sidekick, this video is for you. Man, I'd recommend it. It was great. Tell us what other recipes you want to see. Be sure to leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next video.